Any comment you want to make on Stephen Cohen?
Well, we just did a Moderate Rebels episode,
Oh, you did? Okay.
and I spoke about it. But I would just say I last saw him in January, which wasn't long ago, and he was at the top of his game. He and Katrina Vanden Heuvel, who's the publisher of The Nation, came down to Washington, and he did an event downtown here at the Metropolitan Club for a group called the Empire Salon, which brings together a lot of kind of foreign policy dissenters, people who came out of the diplomatic corps and the foreign policy world in the US, but also a lot of mainstream-minded people. And he's came to talk about Russia, to help them understand what Russia's national interest is, why it behaves the way it does in the world. And he faced a lot of opposition during Q&A, and it was just impressive to watch him really calmly and elegantly bat down somewhat hysterical questioning and criticism, leaning on his scholarship and his experience. And he was sort of a one-of-a-kind figure in the US, one of the last true independent Russia experts who speaks Russian, who had experience in the Soviet Union as a scholar. He was a liberal, considered a liberal within the sort of reformist mainstream of Russian scholarship as a younger man. But, you know, as he watched the Soviet Union be dismantled and 3 to 5 million people just killed through this neoliberal project imposed on Russia in the 1990s by the Harvard boys, Larry Summers and his crew, he became an opponent of US policy towards Russia and someone who sought to build better relations with Russia at a time when the US wanted to milk a Cold War out of Putin's rise, when Putin began restoring order to Russia and bringing its GDP back up and restoring Russia's role as a global power. Stephen Cohen advocated peaceful relations with a fellow nuclear power, which I think is the logical thing any anti-war person would want to do. And he spent the last 4 years of his life being demonized, not just, you know, by neocons and the Max Boots of the world, but people inside the nation. And I would see on Facebook pages like Nation editors just demeaning him, demonizing him, calling him like a Trump puppet because he saw through Russiagate. You know, when we last talked, he talked about it, how it actually had affected him. I think he deserved a lot better, and it shows how debased our political culture is, including what passes for progressive political culture. I expected I would see him again, you know, 2 months after we last saw each other, and we were planning to. The lockdown took place, and, you know, I wasn't able to travel up to New York as much as I had. And then, you know, one day I just find out that he's dead. So it's a huge tragedy and a big loss. And no one can really stand in his shoes and accomplish what he did in this atmosphere of Cold War hysteria.
I'm sad I didn't have him on the show.
You know, I would invite Katrina on, and she wrote a really touching tribute to him.
I think I'll reach out.
I think it's worth doing. And, you know, she remains one of the sane kind of center-left voices